Yeah. Speaking of languages, good morning and welcome to the Lardest Podcast. This is actually season 2. Welcome to season 2.
Thank you.
I am your host, Mr. David Rano, and today we have a co-host, Andrew Rano, who's sitting over there like
Yo.
a weirdo. And we are chatting today with an amazing artist that we've known for a couple years now, Miss Katherine. Katherine. I said it. I don't know why. I feel like I made it
degrading a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. You can also call her Kat if you only speak English, like a weirdo. Katherine? Katherine. I have to get it right one of these days.
We're gonna work on it.
We're gonna work on it.
It's a tongue positioning thing.
Katherine.
So you gotta keep your tongue away from your teeth and flatten it out to the sides. Katherine.
Katherine.
That's a little closer.
And it's tie.
Oh, Katherine. Okay.
Yeah.
Tie.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the Lardest Podcast.
Buongiorno.
Where no one knows my name.
I am Mr. David Rano, the host for today. We have co-host Andrew Rano. We're not doing the intro again, but this is take 2. And we have an amazing artist that we've known for a couple of years now. Her name is, if I could pronounce it correctly, for the 17th time, Katherine.
That was pretty good.
Yay!
That's like a solid B+.
It's like
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
if I can pronounce it correctly, Katherine.
Katherine.
Let's go.
You are listening to the LA Artist Podcast, where we chat with local artists about their works, styles, what influenced them to start their artist journey, and more. Subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. And to see bonus content, check out our website on the description below. This podcast is produced by Lorano Gallery, an LA-based gallery and studio space dedicated to showcase work from upcoming artists, as well as provide space for art shows, workshops, photo and film production. Feel free to check out the gallery at loranogallery.com.
Like your pronunciation and just dub it over his.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, just modulate my voice.
Yeah.
But yes, welcome to the podcast. This is season 2. I still can't believe we're on season 2. This is our second year doing it, which is fun.
Congratulations.
And thank you for being part of the show. I know, again, we've done several shows together, and we never got to do the podcast last year. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then if you would like, share with us where people can see your work and under what names, because I know Chase the Sunlight, that's for your Instagram. I don't know if you have any other ones for different.
So Chase the Sunlight on everything. ChaseTheSunlight.com is my website. Chase the Sunlight is my handle on Instagram, TikTok, where I very infrequently post. And I think also on YouTube, where I even less frequently post.
Well, yeah, a little cheat, just whatever you have on Instagram, just duplicate it.
Yeah.
Without, people are not going to notice.
Yeah.
And if they do, cool. They noticed on 2 different platforms or 3 different platforms.
The problem is I'm like pretty intermittent with my Instagram use too. I'm in stories a lot, and then I forget that like the grid exists.
Well, they do have a feature where it could just combines your stories into just a post.
Yeah, but they're always lame.
So you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for other people.
I'm like a weird, secretive little gremlin. Like I actually hate posting on social media.
Well, in that case, you can follow her on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Well, what we need is a social media intern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A social media marketing manager.
Intern, though, because,
if anybody out there wants to be our intern,
a paid gig.
We barely have money for coffee. Because I spend it all on the microphone you can see here. Because again, we always end up spending our money in our passion, which is, art.
Which is not social media.
Which is, it's
right.
definitely not social media.
Yeah.
And speaking of art and not social media, your style for the video listeners, because you can also see it on video.
For the
we have
video viewers, I guess.
No, they can also listen to it as well.
That's true.
You can see some of her work on the background. For the audio listeners, how would you describe your art?
Oh, that's always so hard for me. I feel like it's harder to talk about your own work than anyone else's work. But I would call it broadly expressionist, abstract figurative. I like a lot of colors and a lot of sort of gnarled, twisty bodies. Kind of a, this is probably a terrible elevator pitch because no one ever knows what it means, but I like to call them, you're gonna have to edit this out. COVID took my word recall. It's so sad. I like to call them neurotic homunculi.
All right. This is the first time she said that correctly from the get-go.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Amazing. No editing required.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and they do have that like surrealist for sure, and very expressionist. A lot of bold colors, and even saying bold colors, but they fade in very well together. And you use mainly pastels and acrylics?
It's mostly oil paint and pastel. I actually hate acrylic. My friendship with acrylic is so over.
I can again, I'm still I still have to learn how to distinguish oils from acrylics just from visuals.
Yeah.
That's why I always start off with acrylics. So
oils and pastels. Yeah. I was an acrylic girl for a while. I thought that I liked acrylic. And then the first time I tried oils, I was like, oh, I don't like acrylic. I didn't know there was a better way.
Is it the feel, the technique,
it feels more intuitive to me. I think it just fits with my process better. My process is very anti-efficiency. Like, I do not get anything done in a hurry ever if I can avoid it. And so the oil sort of works better with my propensity to like paint a little bit and then leave it and think about it and come back and stare at it before working on it again. But also I think there's sort of an intrinsic quality to oil. Like, oil feels very alive. I think acrylic is better for like if you have a very specific vision and you want to like make the paint do that thing, acrylic is great for that. But I like to be a little more collaborative with my paint. Like, I like to let it do what it wants to do. And so there's like a life to oil. I mean, it's literally fat, right? Like, it's part of the way to being a living thing.
Yeah.
And so it has very specific desires that it wants out of you, I think. And that works really well. And then the pastel is sort of the opposite end of the like nature spectrum. It feels very mineral, right? Like, soft pastels are the closest thing to just pure pigment that you can buy, short of just buying pure powdered pigment, and then you have to like figure out what to do with it from there. It has just enough binder to like form it into that shape, and then if you like press on it, it just goes poof into pigment. And so it feels like working with like flesh and mineral, or flesh and rock.
I like that. Yeah, I can dig that.
I was a biology major, so like clearly these things are very important to me.
Yeah, because like you can't see that how you use the pastels where like she has a painting on loose canvas, and it's unprimed loose canvas. So you have not just the color of the canvas itself, but the way you use the pastels that are very soft, and you can still see the colors, but it's not like, oh, boom, that's the color that you wanted, and in a lighter shade, like, no, you can still. It's like rubbing almost very fine dirt that's colored.
Yeah,
that graininess. And
yeah, no, exactly cool. That. Yeah, and I really like the unprimed canvas, both because I like, again, the sort of naturalness of the fiber of the cotton cloth. And also, yeah, exactly that. It is like working with the pastels on it is very much like rubbing dirt into fabric.
Very
it's
expensive
great.
Dirt, but it's still,
still
dirt.
Dirt nonetheless.
Yeah.
Some of it literally dirt, right? Like some of the actual like rock pigments.
Yeah.
But it also kind of changes the way that the oil behaves. So if you've ever like spilled something oily on your jeans, you know, the fabric just like like sucks it up immediately. And it does that with the oil paint on the raw canvas. And so it dries down a lot faster. Still not instantly. It's not acrylic, but the dry time is a lot shorter. It's not like 3 years or whatever. And it makes the sort of the color stay where you put it in like a very like chunky, fatty way. It doesn't, right? Like if the thing that you want out of your painting experience is like a smooth glide of your brush, like this is not going to do that. The brush is not going to move across the canvas, but it's great for just like blobbing on color and then having it not be too slidey when you're working on top of it.
Yeah. And when did you realize that you wanted to go from acrylic to oils, and how long have you been practicing that?
So I was terrified of oil. I had a teacher in high school that like kept drilling how like scary and toxic oil was, which spoiler alert is a lie. But so I was just, I had never touched oil paint, which is why I thought I liked acrylic, because that was just, it's great. It's accessible. And then during the pandemic, when I started, or early pandemic, right, in 2020 during lockdown, when I started painting again, I thought like, I guess I'll try oil paint, whatever. And I had like looked into it a little bit and figured maybe I don't need all of the paint thinners, all the solvents. Like, what if I just buy some oil paint? Because as it turns out, oil paint predates all of the solvents by like a while. So people were oil painting long before they were thinning the paint with any solvents. So like clearly it can be done. So I'd moved from acrylic to open acrylics, but those still dry really quickly. Like that still just was not giving me the thing that I wanted. And I was like, all right, let me just try. I went to Michael's and got like the little like starter set of tiny tubes.
And then a hazmat suit because of your teachers.
Well, I was painting in my bedroom. I still paint just like in my home.
Like closed windows and everything.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, like I can't have any solvents in here because that's the stuff that is dangerous to breathe in. And I immediately loved it. Like I did one sketch of a hand and I was like, yes, this is it. I love it. I get it. It's great. And then my first full oil painting, the second thing I did after that sketch, like got accepted into shows. So I was like, okay, I think like me and oil can be friends. And I still I don't use any solvents except for very occasionally if I really need to thin it out, I'll use lavender spike oil, which is like it. I do have to leave the room because it smells so strongly of lavender, but like I'm not in danger of dying.
Yeah. You don't have to use Febreze anymore for your house.
I would never. I am an anti-Febreze. Do not get me started.
Only lavender. Just leave it there for a little bit.
Oh God, yeah, no. I don't like floral smells, so like I'm not the biggest fan of the lavender spike oil, but better than dying. So
I can dig that.
Yeah.
And then speaking of dying, so you said you've been doing this for now a couple years with the oils and with your subject matter. Like, how does that come about? Like, do you have a plan that you want to do, or as you're painting, something comes to mind and then you just evolve from that?
It's all super intuitive. So sometimes I will have like an idea for kind of a specific pose, and I'll sort of aim for that. But a lot of times it's just like letting my hand do what it wants to do and letting the pastel or the oil paint do what it wants to do. So I don't do a lot of planning. I might occasionally do a couple thumbnails if I have like a fuzzy vision, but a lot of times I just go on a big piece of canvas tacked to my wall and just like figure it out as I go.
Yeah, that was going to be the lead up question or the follow up question on like, because they're huge rolls of canvas.
Yeah.
Like, where do you paint?
So I share an office with my partner, and I'm just like steadily like he gets a desk by the window, and then I've just like been slowly taking over literally every other surface. So I have the closet, I have every wall, I have all the shelves.
As soon as he walks like out of the room, like, okay, I'm taking your chair.
Oh, literally that. Yeah, we share a chair and I just like scoot it over.
It's like, I need a place to put my lavender. Can I just borrow your desk while you're not here?
Yeah. No, I'm like a trash panda. I love finding furniture in alleys. So I found like great little rolly carts and stuff in the alley, and I just like take them home and clean them and like use them for all my art supplies. But yeah, I have sort of a like rotation system where like as soon as a painting is done and drying, I'll like move it to any open wall space I can find. So sometimes they're hanging over the couch in the living room, and sometimes they're in the hallway. Sometimes they're in like the sort of unusable corner of the office. And then I just tack a big piece of canvas up to the wall with push pins. We have weird walls. The push pins seem to work better than anything else. I can't drill into them very well. And then I like ballpark the size. And then when I do stretch them, I always regret that because I'm like, man, now it's like a weird size. And I have to like phone a friend, Tasha, who you know, who has been friend of the podcast. Helps me like cut wood because she's got I'm not an infrastructure person, but I keep people with infrastructure around me, and I appreciate you all so much. So she'll like cut wood for me, and then I literally am like wood gluing and stapling like on my living room floor.
Yeah. Well, that is the fun part about like our little community that we've been building. And like there's someone that can do something, and you can always hit them up. And yeah, because Tasha, when she does her own crazy design canvases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, because this one, the one that we have behind us, is roughly 4x5.
Yeah, I think
Ish.
it's like
tall-ish.
just a little over 5 feet tall by a little over 4 feet wide.
Yeah, having the wood frame for a canvas that's a lot of wood. And then you have to make sure that you have the right structure support beams in the middle of it. But yeah.
I'm an insane person, so I have to measure everything like 10,000 times and get everything completely square, which is almost impossible to do with wood, especially cheap wood, because it just like wood, again, natural substance, like it bends a little bit. Yeah.
It moves, it warps, it wants to do its own thing.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So after you're done with the loose canvas, then you'll try to stretch them out and stuff like that.
I'll stretch them if it makes sense for a show. I just had like a brilliant idea earlier this week that I'm pretty sure it's brilliant. I haven't tested it yet, which might solve like I might be moving away from stretching. Fingers crossed.
Ooh. Can you share that idea, or is that still an idea too?
It's still in the background.
It's still in the background.
No, I could share it. So I've been stitching like Franken canvases together for the video listeners?
For the video listeners.
The other painting that I have up that is on a stretcher frame. I've actually sewn 2 pieces of canvas together because I just buy like canvas drop cloth from like the
hardware
departments.
store.
Yeah, the hardware store.
Store.
I was like, the wood store.
The wood store.
Yeah.
And I use it as a drop cloth when I'm painting. And then when it gets like really nasty and I don't want to step on it anymore, then I like switch it to painting substrate. I'm like, great, it's already got a bunch of marks on it.
I met another artist that he was like hitting up different artists that have like drop cloths and had like super dirty drop cloths. And then once the artist is done with it, he's like, hey, when you're done with your dirty drop cloth, can I have it? Because I do artwork on that background.
Yeah,
you know, he's like, just use it. He uses that dirtiness and like multiple like paint on it, layers and layers and texture and all that. That's the perfect backdrop for him. Background for him. So.
Yeah, and it solves the sort of blank page problem, right? Like it's already all messed up. So like you're not going to make it worse. Like it's fine. It's ready.
Yeah. So next time we'll give you some of ours, because we had one, but I kind of had to throw it away because we had it outside and during the rain. And then it got a little moldy. And
please don't give me anything moldy.
Yeah.
I'm allergic.
Even us too. Like, yeah.
Why do you think we threw it away?
Yeah, why do you think we threw it
Fair,
away?
yeah.
Because we've done that in the past where if we accidentally left it outside for a little bit or during the rain, then we can wash it.
Yeah.
And then still reuse it. But that one was like, yeah, it's a little bit too much. I'm like, yeah. It's like I don't even want to use it as anything. So. But
nowhere near the washer.
Yeah.
You don't want to get your washer moldy.
Yeah. Well, that and it was also like 12 feet by 20 feet or something like that. It was huge.
That's a lot.
It was a big one. That's why I was like,
those are the ones that I buy. Yeah, just like the biggest drop cloth they have in store.
Look at how many paintings I could do.
Yeah, you get so many out of each one. It's great. But yeah, so I've been hand stitching those together, and I got a curved needle. It has a name. I know what it's called. It's not coming to me. But I got a curved needle, an upholstery needle, and that has like been an absolute game changer because it sped everything up so much. Because with a regular needle, you have to like flip the fabric back and forth, which when you're working on like multi-feet sized canvases is like not.
It's no bueno.
Yeah. So I've been making increasingly elaborate Franken canvases since I got the curved needle. And so I'm thinking of doing basically like the way you would do a buttonhole, which is basically you like stitch around where the hole is going to be. And then you do like I don't know the names of any stitches because I learned to sew in Russian.
You can say it in Russian. It's fine.
I don't know what it's called. My mom was like, and then you do this. Like, I don't know. Things have names. No. And then just you stitch like perpendicular around the entire perimeter and then you cut the hole open. So I'm thinking of doing like basically a modified buttonhole and then you can hang it on hooks or nails or like anything you can like push into a wall basically.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
then you can like stretch it without stretching it.
Yeah, because like even for that you can always have it where the canvas or where the holes are at with the little bungee stretch to like let's say 4 inches away so it can actually have a little bit of attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. I can dig that. I can see that.
Right? I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that would be fun. So stay tuned. That's going to be up next. She's going to have it up right now.
I'm sewing under the table as we speak.
And so you've had these big, huge paintings. Do you also do, because you also do smallers and as well, right?
Not so much anymore. I'll do smaller sketches sometimes, really quick ones. But I really like the sort of whole body process of painting big. I like to stand up and move around, and I end up in like all kinds of weird, like little bent over positions.
It's artist yoga.
Art is absolutely yoga. In my house we say art is a sport, and sometimes art is an extreme sport. And teenagers on the internet get really mad when I say that, but art is a sport. You'll find out one day when you're older and your body hurts. But yeah, so that doesn't really translate that well to small canvases. Even if I like tack it to the wall and stand up, like there's just there's nowhere for my arm to go, and I want to like stretch like my entire body length, which is how they end up as big as they end up.
What's the biggest that you've
done? This one behind us might be the biggest one, but only because I haven't measured the one that's on my wall right now.
Okay.
It's probably it's landscape oriented, so it'll measure a little bit differently, but it's a similar size.
All
so
right.
I'm kind of hovering at the like 5 feet mark.
Yeah. Do you ever want to do like a something that's like 12 feet?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
24 feet.
Yeah. If it would fit on my wall that I paint on, I would have already done it.
And just not like make sure everything's off the wall and just cover your entire, instead of wallpaper, it's
Yeah.
just loose canvas.
I did that at my old apartment. I had one really long uninterrupted wall, and I bought some like pre-gessoed canvas, and I just put up like as much of the roll as would fit on the wall. And I ended up cutting it into smaller pieces. They ended up being separate paintings, but I was like, it was very fun to just have a whole wall to work on.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
That reminds me of there's some like old masters back in the day when they would get this giant commission to do a big painting, and they'll be almost done with it and everything, and then for some reason the client just like backs down, but I mean the artist still like kept it part of the the deposit back in the day. But now that like there was nobody that he could give it to, and he was like almost done with the full piece, and he can't really sell the whole thing. What he would do is like he'll cut the canvas and just get like portions, and then just sell the smaller pieces. And it's like sometimes I feel like doing that to some of my pieces, like
Right?
making a giant piece.
Yours would be really good for that too.
And then just just getting like portions of it.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because I do remember, didn't we do that for one of your pieces? And my mom turned it into like little
fanny packs.
Little fanny packs and little things like that.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I think we still have some of them, and yeah, because sometimes reduce, reuse, recycle.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for larger canvases, the best thing about painting is, it's linen, it's cloth. So you can easily repurpose it, either re-stretch it to do smaller pieces, or, turn them into little pouches, little bags, patch it into a sweater or a jacket or something like that.
Yeah.
Turn it into a shirt, although it'll be very stiff. Very stiff shirt.
So I've actually been thinking about doing like a patchworky Franken canvas painting turned into jeans, because jeans are already just made out of canvas, and it's increasingly hard to find like actual jeans that are made of actual cotton and not like mostly stretch. Sorry. And so I
like my stretchy jeans.
Oh God, I hate when pants have stretch in them.
Oh,
but
they're so comfy.
but again, that is one of the things where when it comes to fashion, like the fabric, depending on how you cut it, you can get some stretch either way. Same thing.
Yeah. On the bias, like it's got to stretch. Yeah.
Everything has to stretch.
We know it's got stretch because we stretch canvases. Yeah. So like.
so what do you have against jeans? You want stiff jeans, like
No, I'm like I wish I could say that it was for like high-minded environmental reasons, and there is a little bit of that, but like mostly I hate plastic stuff because I think it feels terrible.
Oh yeah, that for sure.
Same as like my acrylic paint beef, like it's not as fun because it feels like plastic, and so it like doesn't bring me joy like fat and rock does.
yeah and again, I definitely agree on that, because I'm the same way with shoes. Like I can't wear like modern plasticky polyester like they have to be leather, suede, or some combination of leather in it, because it feels better. It will conform to my foot.
Yes.
Throughout the years, they will last longer.
They last forever. You can get them resold, but like nothing's gonna happen to the leather ever.
But yeah, so I totally see that aspect of it, because plastic can be very plasticky.
Yeah.
Hence, plastic. Yeah. So today's sponsor is plastic. But yeah, no, that would be cool to see the having the linen go into fashion wear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jeans would be really cool.
I think it would be fun. I have the technology. In my like trash panda ways, I found a sewing machine.
You have the apothecary needle.
I do.
What did you say it was?
The upholstery needle.
Whoops.
Not the polyester
That's a different
needle.
thing. Yeah, no, I found a sewing machine. Someone was like clearing out a house. I don't know if like someone I assume like an old person died and they were just getting rid of all their stuff. But it was like a recently serviced sewing machine. It was really nice. It said free on it. I swear. I didn't steal.
Are you sure they weren't just like moving?
I think about that sometimes. I'll like do a few laps, see if they come back. But yeah, I found like a really nice sewing machine, recently serviced, recently oiled, with like all of the needles and everything. Like, I'm very excited, but I love hand sewing, so I almost never use it. Like, if I can do it by hand, I'll do it by hand before I use the machine.
Well, if anything, you can also just turn the crank on the side by hand and it'll still stick.
It's true. Yeah.
Or technically
by foot.
You're sewing by foot.
It's true.
So
I would love like an old one, like the fully mechanical hand crank one. Like I would probably that would be my ideal sewing machine.
They usually do that for leather sewing machines.
Yes.
Because of how
it's
thick, and how tough leather can be. But again, they also sell the accessory where you push the bottom and it
turns the crank.
So it still ends up being your foot.
Yeah.
Didn't our grandparents have one of those foot crank ones?
Yeah. My grandma had one of those, and I've been looking to get a leather sewing machine, one that you actually you have to crank it.
Yeah.
And then it has weight to the crank, so as you're doing it, it'll speed up, and then it'll just keep rotating a little bit longer, so you can control what you're doing.
Yeah.
But one of these days. Yeah. One of these. Let's see who gets it first.
Yeah.
It's a competition now.
The like old school mechanical stuff is cool. Like, I'm a complete Luddite, and I don't just mean that in the like common meaning of the term. It's not that I dislike technology or like think that it's too difficult or whatever. Like, I literally think that it is bad socially and politically. So like the Luddites were a labor movement. They were mad because they were getting let go from their jobs and being replaced by machines. So they weren't like anti-machine in general. They were just like, the robots are bad because they're taking our jobs and ruining our lives. And you can't just lay us off with no warning.
Yeah, and now we can't feed our families. We can't pay
exactly.
the rent.
Yeah. So they like went and like broke the machines with sledgehammers. Like, I'm that flavor of Luddite. I'm like, the robots are bad for us, actually, not because they're robots. I'm not like mad at robots in general. I'm just the way they're being used is a problem.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and because I love mechanical technology, because it's still technology. It was modern technology when it came out.
Everything is technology.
I have a lot of typewriters, all manual cameras and stuff like that, because there is something to that on the doing it by hand or somebody putting their hands on the process of it over a robot doing it.
Yeah.
And those are all like things that can be repaired and maintained, right? Yeah. Like a typewriter, like you can fix a typewriter yourself.
Yeah. I have some typewriters. I have one typewriter in particular that's from 1919. Nice. So it's over 100 years old. Ask me where my first HP laptop is. That was gone in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I had to get another one.
My old laptop is just sitting on the floor because I don't like, it's got to go to a special landfill, but I feel bad taking it to the special landfill because I know that it's like, it's a problem. So it just like lives on my floor.
Now the special landfill is just under the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You use it like, oh, if my table's a little wobbly, just put the old laptop there.
The bed is a little wobbly.
Like, I just use it make it useful.
Yeah.
Since it's no longer useful for its original.
Yeah.
No,
I like my mechanical pencil to draw my robot paintings. Yeah.
That's mechanical. It's technologically inclined.
Yeah. It's got a little spring.
Speaking a quick segue on the mechanical pencils. Have you heard of some of the Japanese mechanical pencils that as you're writing, it feels pressure, so it will move the lead, or it will rotate the lead, so you never end up with just one spike.
The weird dull spot and the sharp edge on the other?
Yeah, so you never have that. You want me to get you one of those?
Yes, please.
Because I want one of those. Like I hardly write with pencil.
I want a super technological mechanical pencil.
Yeah, because those are cool. Like I don't know. Obviously, you're putting pressure on the lead as you're writing, hence lead going onto the paper. But as you let it go, it'll rotate, which is really cool.
That is very cool.
Actually,
That's
never mind. That's
technology.
too scary.
It's
It's too advanced. It's coming for your job.
It's too scary. Then I'm like, it's gonna just drop for me.
You rather just rotate the pencil with your fingers.
Yeah, no, it's too scary for me.
I know. So speaking of technology and technological advances that we all hate for the most part, to a certain degree, how do you come about when it comes to showcasing your art? Like I know we talked a little bit on social media. That is kind of like something that we have to do, and most of the time it's hard. But how do you get your art out there?
I try to do as much in-person stuff as possible. Something I have found, which was completely unintentional, but like absolutely feels right, is that all of my favorite colors don't photograph. And I don't mean don't photograph well. I mean literally don't photograph. Like the camera can't capture them. And I can't like correct it in post because computer displays cannot, right? Like the spectrum that a computer can produce is smaller than what a human eye can see. I like all the colors that humans can see and robots can't, apparently.
Yeah,
My robots can.
I know I've come across a couple of those when I have to photograph your art, and like some of the reds and some of the
sorry.
blues.
Yeah.
Which again, it's fine.
He just switches them to different color altogether.
Just tweak 'em.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you rather do in person than over online stuff.
Yeah. And obviously, right, like I live in the world. It's 2024. So like I have to take pictures of stuff and put them online sometimes. But part of why I'm like so intermittent on social media is that like I don't think it's the best avenue for my art specifically. And because of that, like I kind of only do social media stuff when it sounds like it'd be fun. And most of the time it doesn't sound fun. Every once in a while I'm just like, I have an idea. I think this would be fun. And then I do it. But like that's kind of my like very professional social media strategy. And I used to do social media for other people. Like I've built influencers from the ground up. And I have found it to be like it's not that it can't be done. I just find that it's not necessarily worth doing unless you are trying to do specifically like brand deals as your source of income.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, because as an artist, it's not like there's only so many companies out there that would sponsor or will give you products to shout out. Because again, it's acrylic paint or brushes,
right?
Or
and you
materials.
can sort of do right, like you can be an art flavored like influencer, right? Like those exist where like they're doing the brand deal thing and just like the genre is art related, but like I don't want to be an advertiser. I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
So like I'm doing a different thing. Like no hate to people who want to be in advertising. That's also a job, but like it's not the job I'm trying to do.
No, yeah, that for sure, and that's why like even for when we started doing Lozano Gallery and especially doing the large brew art shows, is we didn't want our artists to be salespeople. So we had the artists just drop off the art, and then we take care of the setup. We will take care of the sales. We will, if somebody wants to buy it, we talk to them. We do the whole transaction. That way the artist can literally just show up to the show if they want or if they can. We obviously encourage them to be there. But they don't have to necessarily sell the art and be like, oh yeah, this is my art. It costs for this much. Like, do you want to buy it? Like, no. Like, oh, you're interested? Yeah, this is my story on the piece. Like, oh, you want to buy it? Talk to that guy over there.
Yeah.
Because it is one of those things where, an artist should be an artist.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to be an artist, be an artist. And if you want to go into marketing and advertising and sales, that's a whole different avenue that you can do. But if you want to be an artist, just be an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my sort of like part of my Luddite ways is like the thing technology is robbing you of, among other things. It's forcing you to do the work of what used to be entire separate departments, and that drives me nuts. I'm like, the marketing team is a separate team, the advertising team, like there's a whole group of people who are supposed to be in charge of that. And obviously as like an individual, like a very, I don't want to call myself a small business because I hate that term for like literal individual people, but you do have to sort of take on more stuff because you can't afford to hire a bunch of people. But even like big companies are just like completely wiping out all of these departments and like pretending like access to technology is going to replace those things. Yeah. And like, one, it doesn't. And two, at what cost?
Yeah. What's the cost, people? What is the cost? And speaking of cost, let's switch over to the Quicken because that costs nothing to do.
Free 99.
Free 99 plus tax. Have you heard the Quicken on other podcasts?
I have.
She never listens to our podcast ever.
No, I did. I listened. I was freaking out in preparation, and I listened to like the entire back catalog.
I know all 12 or 10 or 5 episodes that we have so far. No. So the Quicken is just a rapid succession of quick questions with quick answers.
Okay. I'll do my best. I'm really bad at giving short answers, but I'll try.
I don't think the Quicken has ever been quick ever.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't think it's ever been that quick.
Yeah, I told you guys, I'm anti-efficiency. Like, things aren't happening quickly.
I can think that. A lot of these are questions that's like one or the other, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, do you pick one over the other and whatnot? So it makes it a little bit easier.
No, that's so much harder.
Why?
Because I have to qualify everything.
I can see that. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you nervous?
Absolutely.
You
I just started sweating.
Those were the first 2 questions.
Acing it so far. All
so
right.
far, so good. All right, yeah, because we always start off with a couple questions that we always ask everyone, and then we'll jump around. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Ballpoint, gel pen, or fountain pen?
Ooh, ballpoint. But I think fountain pens are really cool. And I have so many like inks and fountain pens at home, and I never use them. I just like them for the aesthetic.
for the gram.
I bought so many different colors, and I mean, they're still sealed.
Right? Yeah.
I bought so many different,
but they're cool
because I use the dip fountain pen.
Yes.
So I have a lot.
The only way.
I have a lot of them.
They're still clean.
There's most of them are pretty clean.
Yeah, my grandpa bought me a fountain pen like calligraphy set with a bunch of like fancy inks when I was a kid at a museum, and like I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and then like played with it for like a month and then never touched it again.
You gotta use them. Use them. Sign a contract with a fountain pen.
Well, they're still sealed, so they're fine. They're shelf stable.
They're now collector's items.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Shadow box.
Favorite medium?
Oil, obviously.
Favorite shape?
Oh. I like round shapes, but like natural round shapes, not like a geometric round shape. Like squiggly but rounded.
I can dig that. Natural round shapes. I can see that. For sketchbooks, do you finish a sketchbook completely, or do you just buy another one?
I've never finished a sketchbook. I've only started sketchbook. I've never even maintained a sketchbook. I've started sketchbooks.
And then like, where are they? I don't know.
Like,
and then
sketchbooks, where are they now?
Yeah. And then years later, I go and like rip out the pages because I'm like, ooh, no one needs to see this. Now it's a fresh sketchbook.
Yeah, it's a brand new one.
So it's a brand new. You make your own brand new.
Exactly.
What drink of choice do you have while painting or creating art?
I actually usually don't have liquids standing around, just because even though like I'm not using solvents, so I'm not in danger of breathing anything in, but I do use heavy metal pigments. So I just like, that's like a food and drink free zone. I like leave the room to drink. But mineral water is my drink of choice in general. I think, hot take, Americans drink too much water.
Do they?
Yes.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I need more water.
No, you probably don't. So like everyone got really obsessed with drinking like however many ounces of water a day. That's nonsense.
Yesterday,
That's complete
I've had
nonsense.
2 cups of coffee throughout the entire day.
That's too much water.
That's it.
That's
So
too
is that
much water.
No, that's probably not too much. No, but the thing is, like, this like freaks people out. This freaks Americans out when they go to like other countries and they order water. Like, first of all, you have to like order water on purpose. They don't just give you water at restaurants. And then it comes in like barely bigger than a shot glass, and Americans like freak out. But everyone else is getting hydration through food, which is the thing you're supposed to just eat fruits and vegetables and so on. Like, it's supposed to come from your diet. You do not need to be chugging water all day. That's not actually good for you.
Yeah.
All your guts are broken.
That's all y'all. Because again, I barely drink any water.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like, I just make sure that all my food is soggy and drenched in water.
Yeah,
That way I
just
can
pour a little water on that, just dip it. And yeah, no, but like mineral water is great because it replenishes your salts simultaneously with your water. And so what happens when you're drinking just water is you keep getting thirstier because you're flushing all your salts. And the thing your body actually is looking for is all of the salts, all of the minerals.
Dude, that's why we drink more water, because we drink water, we get thirsty, so we have to,
you
drink,
have to
more
drink
water.
more water. Yeah.
That's the American way.
Yeah. So take like a sip of mineral water periodically, and I'm like,
So-
oh, I feel amazing. This
So
is
what
so
you're
much
trying
better.
to say is that we should take salt shots.
Salt shots.
For the after show,
I
we'll
literally
salt
take
shots.
salt shots, but that's a disability issue.
I
But yeah,
can do
Topo
that.
Chico, great for you.
Yes, yes.
I'm putting off screen.
Topo Chico sponsor us.
Yeah, please sponsor
By
it. Like,
Topo Chico. Oh yeah,
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico. It's great.
It's
We
great.
buy the big bottles from Costco because Costco. But then I
Costco,
can't
please
finish
sponsor
a
us too.
bottle in a day. So then I like
That's why you
just
gotta
drink flat water,
buy the
flat
small-
Topo Chico the next day. But like,
Just buy smaller bottles.
Yeah, get the smaller ones. They
bring that up with Costco.
they taste better in glass.
They do, 100%.
And then speaking of glass, what is the top song that you're listening to right now?
Oh my God. I haven't listened to a song in a minute. I know.
Only Dead
Okay,
Silence
I
and
know.
White
I know
Noise?
what's the.
No, I
I
like
know-
a podcast and audiobook.
I know what's the
Ooh,
last
well,
song.
then
or
that
the,
counts.
The last song you listened to, Enanitos Verdes, just because I was
Oh
playing.
yeah, that's what we were
I was
playing
playing
there
it
you
before
go,
the
yeah.
before.
No,
So.
when I do, it's usually because I'm looking for something really specific. There's like I think the last thing I was listening to was a playlist that someone made on Spotify that's like, it translates to like taxi drivers songs. And it's
Ooh.
like music my grandparents liked. Like it's like Soviet era, like Russian language, like men being sad. Great. Love it. Love it.
I can do that. Some golden oldies.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
Russian golden oldies.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some I could give you some like music I like in general of like the weird stuff. I got really into Brazilian rock bands from the 70s briefly. Like there's a song called Alegria that's really good, and I heard a DJ spin it recently and I was like, "Yes, I know that one." And then there's I've been listening to a lot of Russian language stuff recently because I've been sort of trying to like explore more childhood stuff in my work a little bit, so helps to hear my native tongue.
I can
Nice.
do that. I like that. I like that. And then favorite section in an art store?
Ooh, probably brushes.
Yeah.
I'm a very tactile person, in case that wasn't glaringly obvious. And I just like, brushes are great because you can like touch them.
You're there like just
Yeah. And the unfortunate thing about brushes for me is that oil paint works best with like really stiff brushes, but I'm a sucker for soft brushes. So like I never have the brushes that would actually do the job that I want them to do because I'm just like, oh, this one's soft, I need it.
So you like those plasticky nylon brushes?
I think those are okay.
Speaking of plastic.
Yeah, that's like the one piece of plastic that remains in my practice in a big way, and it's mostly because I cannot afford the natural hair brushes that I would much prefer to paint with.
Yeah. Because how much would something like that go for? Like a good,
I think
30 to
a good
$50 for
a good oil brush.
oil brush?
Yeah, somewhere between like 15 to 30
That's a lot.
for one brush.
And that's like for a small brush, and I
Yeah,
paint really
yeah,
big, so
and you have.
Oh
you
yeah,
have-
yeah.
you-
we're
need
looking
to-
at like $100 for a paintbrush, and like I
forget
can't
because
do
like
that.
I bought some of I had some oil paint brushes, but I wouldn't paint this big. So I'm thinking like of a smaller, like
Yeah.
size 6 to 10 or whatever.
And I'll use like any brushes I can get my hands on too. So like I've had artist friends donate like brushes that they bought and never used to me. I'll use like house paint brushes. I'll use like, I don't care if they shed bristles. That's fine. That can just be part of the texture. No big deal.
It definitely does add to the texture for
Yeah.
sure. And then, so speaking of texture, what kind of brush do you prefer? Here are the choices: round, flat, bright, filbert, mop, liner, or fan brush.
Immediately round. So round, like the oil paint thing, right? Where like oil paints predate solvents. Round brushes predate all the other brushes because when you tie fiber to a stick, it makes a round brush. The other shapes require either, right? You get like big flat brushes in like ancient Rome, but that's because you're just like making rows out of little like round tufts of bristles. So there's kind of like a minimum size at which you can do that. You don't get the modern shapes of brushes until we start putting the little metal band on top of the brush. So those are like an incredibly recent technology. And again, as a Luddite, I'm just like, no, thank you.
You love technology.
All
I
right.
love technology.
So
I love the round brushes. They feel really like, again, just intuitive.
So what you're saying, you like the fan brushes?
Yeah.
The ones
What
with the
are they
most.
for?
You're a big fan of the fan brush.
I've never seen anyone who's not Bob Ross use a fan brush. Like, I literally don't understand what you do with them.
I'm not Bob Ross, and I use the fan brush because of Bob Ross.
That's the only reason any of us know what a fan brush is.
Yeah, you can make happy little clouds.
No, but also like
and then trees for the.
yeah. No, but I don't
Thank you.
blend, so the fan brush doesn't
Yeah.
do anything for me because it's a blending brush.
I can dig that.
Oh, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Bob Ross.
And trees, but I don't paint trees either.
Chess or checkers?
Ooh, chess.
Chess.
Yeah.
Favorite chess piece?
Ooh. God, what are any of them called in English?
You can say it in Russian.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I can like translate. So I like my favorite ones ever since I was a kid are in Russian called the horse and the elephant.
Okay.
The
then
elephant,
get
I think, is the bishop.
Does it go diagonal or does it go?
It goes,
Up and
it goes diagonal. I
Yeah,
think it's the
bishop.
bishop. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I think
'cause
the elephant also comes from like the name of the hat or something, which is
Yeah.
why it's called a bishop.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then what's
that's
the
it.
horse in English?
It's the knight.
The knight. Yeah.
Yeah. So the knight, the bishop, and then there's the rook, all the way at the very edges that just. goes
Yeah.
up, down,
The
side to side.
castle.
The little castles.
Yeah. No, I'm a bishop and knight.
No,
I can
you're,
do that.
you're a horse and elephant.
Horse and elephant. Yeah.
Yes.
Slon.
I-
That's a much better word than bishop.
I like
That's
that.
the slon.
The slon.
I can do.
I like that better.
I do want to see a little elephant on, like, because I've seen different designs for chess,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've ever seen like an
A
actual elephant.
slon.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
more of an animal.
I've seen
a
animal
full
ones,
animal ones.
and I think the chess we play is also like modified like 57 times over from the sort of original game that
Yeah.
chess stems from, which I believe it's a Middle Eastern game.
Yeah. I believe
Yeah,
so.
and so the names have changed a lot too, right? Like they didn't call them knights. They
Yeah.
didn't call them the like
were
local
called
language
slons.
translation of knights.
Yes.
So like I think elephant might actually be closer to the original name.
Yeah, I can see that.
I might be lying. I'm not sure. Someone
It's
should
okay,
look
we're-
that
But
up.
but this is
artists.
the internet, so
We're
everything
artists.
is
I
true.
said it so it's
Everything,
true.
everything
Everything
the
is
internet
true.
is true.
Yeah.
And speaking of true, RGB or CMYK?
CMYK. That's my one. That's my one like modern. I'm like, yeah, the neo primaries, obviously,
Oh yeah.
because brighter colors.
That, and also it works for printing.
Yes.
Yeah, because RGB is the reason why you can't get some of the colors correctly.
Yeah.
Just because it's a different color spectrum.
Oh, I know. But even like CMYK, I also can't print some of the colors, although I do get closer. When I made...
Are you giving them CMYK files, or are you giving them RGB files?
I've done with both. I have an art printer near me, and she was lovely and very helpful in the process. And I had to literally guess at some of the colors because, again, they don't show up on screen. So I had to I was looking up the hex codes for colors that computers can't do. And we got pretty close, but it's still, it's.
And then speaking of colors, what is your most used color?
Ooh, probably, I don't know why I said probably. It's definitely phthalo green.
Ooh,
by a mile. Yeah.
That's a really cool color.
I have to
really
replenish
nice.
that one all the time, which is so funny. It's so pigmented, right? So a little goes a long way. And also I'm always running out. Yeah. And then all of the quinacridone colors after that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then speaking of...
I like adding a little bit of white to the phthalo green. It's so nice.
And then speaking of green, veggies. What is your favorite vegetable?
Ooh. Cucumbers.
Cucumbers.
I paused because I love all vegetables, but literally my favorite food when I was 2 years old were cucumbers, and that was
with
never changed. I do love them with tahini, but with
little,
anything, just
a little lime,
plain,
or just a little lime and salt.
Yeah, plain salted with anything. All of the every pickled version, every quick pickled version, the kind that you get as banchan with Korean food or with Japanese food or whatever. Every form of cucumber.
I can do that.
Very cool.
And then for the final question, what food would pair very well with your painting or painting style?
Ooh. I mean, it's got to be something meaty because we've got flesh. I want to say this is going to sound so pretentious. I think it's just what I want to eat. I would go with either a filet mignon and red wine.
Ooh.
With
all the trimmings, filet mignon with some asparagus.
The whole thing. Yeah. Or I would do maybe a hot pot. But again, I might just be thinking of what I want to eat right now. But sort of with the same idea, right? There's a lot of meat being dipped.
David, was that the raw beef thingy?
Carpaccio?
Yeah. Is that
what that is?
Is that what that is?
Am I thinking of the right word?
Carpaccio is a raw, very thin.
Yeah.
The other one's
beef sushi.
Beef tartare is the
beef
other one.
tartare.
Yeah.
How about beef tartare?
I would accept that.
For the one behind you.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Or
Have you ever had beef tartare?
I have. Yeah.
I don't think Andy's.
I don't think I've had beef tartare.
Ooh, no, wait. Let me
take it back.
I have it.
Rewind.
Beef tongue, lengua.
Lengua.
That's the one. Final answer.
Yes.
Final answer.
Yes. You know
got
what?
me going on that.
You know what? We normally grade, or we ask people to grade, and then we give our own little grades as well. I think that's an A in my book.
Yeah, that's definitely an A for sure.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite foods.
Can we have that for lunch?
Yeah.
Tacos de lengua.
Yeah.
We could definitely order for as we're finishing up the after show. We can have some.
That's a shared. I would love some. That's a shared cuisine thing. Russians also eat beef tongue, but we do it more as like a stew.
Okay.
Oh, that's
more of a boiled.
that's tasty.
I can do.
It was
Yeah,
so good.
That's there was a friend of the family that's how they would do it. They would obviously the way you would normally cook tongue is with a little bit of water, and then you just let it simmer on it in its own juices, and then it cooks all the way through. And obviously Latinos, they end up doing them into tacos, so they cut them into smaller pieces. Yeah. But in this case, a friend of the family, we went over to their house and they were doing tongue, and they were cutting it into little round
slices. Yeah, that's how we do it.
And I was I like that way better than just chopping it up all the way.
Yeah. We boil it in a big pot and then cut it into round steaks.
I think we did that once when my mom cooked some tongue. And then yeah.
Okay. I gotta. Well, I would love to do that here, but Abby, she's not much of a fan of tongue. Not necessarily the taste and flavor profile, but just the fact that it's
The vibe, yeah.
the vibe, which is kind of
Yeah.
like, all right,
And
more for me.
And the texture, she's
the,
like
the a little bit of the texture.
It's a divisive texture,
Because
I think.
it is very soft. I always compare it to like even filet mignon, where if it's cooked correctly, it like melts in your tongue.
Yes, yeah.
So well, it
melts in
tastes
your
really-
lingua.
Yeah.
The lingua melts in your lingua.
Like French kissing a cow.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But not in France, I suppose. And with that, again, audience members, please give a grade. Comment down below. What do you think? I did enjoy some of her answers for some of these questions. Some were like meh. But,
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's like it's an A, but it's an A minus.
It's A. But I feel like with that last one, it's like she definitely gets an A.
Saved
for sure.
it at the end.
Saved it at the end. But yeah, and with that, we'll do a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Speaking of interesting, hello and welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that commercial break and you buy stuff because it supports the channel and the podcast and the people.
And it supports America.
Well, you are giving Americans
Don't do it to
jobs.
support America, but do it to support these guys.
Yes, and we are Americans. Technically, I was born here in America. I was
that
on the
skill issue.
I know, but yeah. So welcome back. This is again season 2. I have to say that for some reason. Not really. I just like saying it's season 2.
No, that's exciting. That's really cool.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then because speaking of season 2, we do want to get to talk to more artists that we know and artists that we don't know, and from different genres, from paintings to musicians to filmmakers, and try to cover a little bit more of how to be an artist in this new world, and then the different journeys that all the different artists have, and because again, we all had to go through a path, and no paths are the same. And so with that in mind, like for your artistic journey, like where do you see yourself? Like, are you at the beginning, middle, end? Are you retired
This
now?
is the end of my career.
Yeah.
All right. It was fun.
All right,
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
No, I'm very much at the extreme beginning. I didn't intend to be an artist originally. I studied biology in college, and I was very happy to keep working in biology for a while after that until I wasn't. I think at some point I decided I really did not want to get my PhD. Actually, it did not sound like a good time, and everyone that I knew that was in a PhD program was actively spiraling into the depths of despair. And I was like, I don't want to do that to myself. That sounds terrible. So I worked a bunch of science adjacent and then completely unrelated jobs for a while before I pandemic project my way back to art, which I hadn't done since I was a kid. So this is year 3 to 4 for me now of my new baby art career. But it's cool. It's going okay so far.
That's always good to hear, because again, being the beginning of your art journey, it's have you ever felt some of those doubts the same way that during your college years that you didn't want to go to do the PhD? Have you felt that during art, or not yet? Or are you waiting for that moment?
Sure. I mean, doubts are normal. I think you have to be a little bit delusional about it and just be like, no, for sure. I understand statistics, and also they don't apply to me, which is true. That's statistics they're not predictive for individuals. So it's not even wrong. But yeah, you just have to sort of like believe that it's possible and hope for the best. I think that I've been very lucky in my life in general. Um, and so I just sort of like hope to continue being lucky. And so far that seems to be working pretty well. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, like capitalism sucks and there's not like a good way to exist under capitalism, so like you
Yeah.
might as well do something that's fun, I guess.
I can dig that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is one of those things where you always have to give an effort,
Yeah.
on whatever it is,
Yeah.
and doing it for art, it makes that effort less effortful.
Yeah.
More effort, less effortful. I don't know grammar.
Easier.
Easier. I
Yeah.
think easier was an easier word to use.
Was a
Was
a
less-
more effortless way to say it?
Yes. Yeah, because you're passionate about it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like, oh, you have to do it because you want to get a job at a specific
Yeah.
place or whatever. It comes from within you.
Yeah. Part of it is that I'm like just very much like not cut out for capitalism. Like no one is, but like I'm really not. Like I was born in the Soviet Union, and even though I moved here when I was really little, like we weren't like fully Americanized like in my upbringing, right? Like the people who were raising me were like just from a very different culture. And so like like a lot of the sort of things that I think get taken for granted in American society and with like the way work is structured, like I just missed it. And so those things don't make sense to me and I don't know how to do it. And so like art and science were both sort of better fits for me than like most other jobs. And ultimately, I think science and art are the same job. And I think if you talk to like any scientists, they would probably agree. All the scientists I know, first of all, like also are incredibly artistic. But I think a lot of your like day-to-day life is the same, right? Like applying to grants, you have to do in both fields. Trying to pull things together on like not the budget of your dreams is the same. The sort of on the ground experimentation that you're doing is very similar, right? These are both like really iterative processes where you're just trying to problem solve and trying to like make things work and trying to get to some kind of answer or solution and trying to like investigate things that are interesting to you. So I always say that like ultimately my day job is the same as it was when I was working in a lab.
Yeah.
I work with slightly different chemicals now, but like
Yeah.
otherwise same deal.
And I do like that what you said about like having that, ultimately having a solution to something, and because again that's where we literally have a blank canvas and we have to figure out how to problem solve, putting our emotions into that
Yeah.
blankness to find a result. And the result is usually, I love what I created, and hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's same thing with science. Like you have to problem solve until you find the result that you want or that you need or whatever.
The result that is.
that
Yeah.
is even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
The result, because again, as an artist, that's the result.
Yeah.
That is the result. You're putting your soul, your passion, your thoughts, your feelings into that, and whatever comes out, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I like that. Andy hates it for some reason.
And he says, what would the robots say about this?
I think my robots would just be like smiling and like just nodding and
Yeah.
everything. Like, sure,
I know, right?
that sounds pretty.
Yeah, and it really does. It's very poetic. The art that is. And how has your art evolved?
I feel like it's constantly evolving, right? So currently I'm like trying to push more and more into this like raw canvas and hand stitched like Franken contraptions. And I'm constantly trying to like eliminate more of the sort of like plasticky stuff. I still will sometimes gesso the backs of canvases, especially if I've stitched them, just to like reinforce that. So it's not gonna, I mean, I sew them really well, but it helps to reinforce it a little bit. But that's the last bit of like acrylic, plasticky, gross paint that's left. And as soon as I figure out a better solution that isn't like prohibitively expensive, like the amount of rabbit glue that you would need to cover a 5-foot canvas is like, that's not going to happen.
You would need a rabbit farm for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So as soon as I figure out a better way, so I'm like, again, like I'm like in the lab, I'm like, all right, what can I do that's not using, of course I bought a giant tub of gesso and then was like, never again.
I know. You know, problem solving. That's all it takes. And with the problem solving, like as you're putting the canvases together and getting an idea for what you want to create, how does having a palette come into play? Like, do you have a specific vision color palette wise, or again, it's more of the feel as you're doing it?
I just go by feel. I start with like it's not a super limited palette because it includes the neo primaries. So like I could mix anything. I don't use a lot of black. I've been using a little bit more white recently, but really I don't use a ton of white. I'm mostly making like really vivid color mixes out of, the closest thing I can get to a magenta, which is usually like a quinacridone rose, although it sort of depends what brand. They all call it something different. A fairly cool bright yellow, and then I usually use cadmium, and then I use like a whatever I can find that's like close to cyan. I'm like, clearly that's like my least favorite of the set. So I'm like, and the other one.
The brownish one.
And then I only really like add in like a very small handful of other colors. So I'll use like a burnt sienna if I need it to be like a little more earthy, or an umber to like push it a little cooler. And then obviously my beloved phthalo green that I mix into literally everything. Like I think every single color on both of these canvases has a little bit of phthalo green in it.
Including the yellow.
Like there's just like a little drop. Just a little bit.
Also because it doesn't come off the brush.
Like, yeah, you don't have time to wash
I used to be so good. I used to be so good about cleaning brushes, and then like that's just gone now. Like I abandoned my brushes for like 2 months, and then I remembered that they existed and needed to be washed. Luckily, fun fact for all the oil painters out there who do not want to use paint thinner, the like scent-free laundry detergent, stick your brushes in like a cup of that and just let them sit for like a few days. Everything will wash out.
Just put them in the wash.
Just throw them in the washing machine. You give them like a little swirl. It'll pull out absolutely everything, even from the crustiest brushes. Like they were like fully crusted over, sealed, good as new.
I can dig that.
I got some of those brushes. I got to do that.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Does Dawn work?
Probably.
I mean, if it works for ducks.
Yeah, I figure anything good enough for the ducks. Yeah. I don't keep Dawn around because it makes sponges smell mildewy. So.
That's what you.
But I'm sure it would work.
I know. Chemistry 101.
I'm really sensitive to smells. I have a lot of thoughts about smells.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like I can. One of the reasons why I don't like yogurt. One of them is the texture of it, but also the smell. And even like Monster, I don't like the smell of it. Red Bull and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. They smell like poison.
And every now and again, like if I'm in my office and Andy's just walking around with the Rockstar with the Monster, even
I like poison.
Like he's in the kitchen and I'm all the way in. Like I can be like, yes, Monster. Close the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. So to clean your brushes, that's what you do.
Yep. Yeah, when I've abandoned them, you can just clean them with regular soap if you like wash them on time.
Well, they are
But-
oil brushes, so they're not gonna dry very
Yeah.
2
2 months was kind of
2
pushing
months.
it though. That was like not.
I haven't used
not
my oil
ideal.
brushes in like 7 years.
I can't guarantee that laundry detergent will fix
No,
them
you-
after
you
7
already-
years.
You
but
said guarantee.
or your
You
money
said
back.
guarantee.
I would definitely try it.
I
It works really well.
I mean, if it won't hurt.
It definitely won't hurt.
It
Yeah.
won't, it won't hurt.
Yeah, it won't hurt. But yeah, no, that is a great tip. And then speaking of tips and advices and whatnot, again going back to even just the artist journey, what was a good tip that somebody gave you, and what advice would you give a new artist that wants to be doing this madness that we're doing?
That's such a good question. I don't listen to anyone.
So that's a tip.
I hate taking advice. Yeah, I love giving advice. I hate taking advice. I mean, I think ultimately, like, people only learn the hard way. That's actually the only way to do anything. I would love that to not be true, because I think that would save all of us a lot of time and pain, physical and emotional. But like ultimately, like you just have to do it the hard way, I think. I think just do the thing, whether or not you think that you are prepared to do the thing. Like the best way to learn how to do something is to just do it.
Nike.
There's no sponsor me.
I'm trying to get sponsors over here.
There's actually no tutorial that is going to get you anywhere. You just have to like do stuff and see, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's not a big deal. Like nothing is like, I think part of the having to be like a little bit delusional is actually just having like a strong sense of self and self-confidence, so that like you don't take criticism or rejection personally.
Yeah.
Because like nothing is really like it's not, no one is like grading you as a person except for literally you guys just a few minutes ago.
And some of the listeners.
Some more listeners.
But like that, but it's not like that. It doesn't matter. Like even the
Yeah.
grades, right? Like I cared so much about my grades in school and in college, and like those also don't go, like there's no consequences to any of that. As it turns out, actually, when you're an adult and your life is like bigger than just the day-to-day of like being in one class, right? So like you just kind of have to do stuff and like believe that the thing you're doing is worth doing, even if it's just because like it's fun for you.
I like that. Yeah, doing it because you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And because you like enjoy doing it. Like it's not like I sit down and I'm like, I'm the greatest artist ever and I'm gonna be in museums one day, although that would be cool. I would really like that. Museums, call me. But like ultimately I enjoy the process of doing art, and I enjoy the idea of being an artist, and like the reality that I have been able to access thus far of being an artist. And so like that keeps the activity worth doing in a way that there's no like I love to intellectualize everything. And ultimately like my behavior is guided by like what feels nice.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I feel like that's a good reality check, because again, what we're doing now as adults, we're not gonna get a grade on it.
Yeah.
And and obviously we do it here just because it's fun, and it puts us at ease. And like even a museum, they're not gonna be like, oh yes, your shadows are off, so you get a C minus. Like no, it's either they like it or they don't.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it doesn't really matter because you like creating it, and that's what matters.
Yeah. And I think it's not even just about like whether someone else likes it, right? Like when someone is curating a show at anything, right? In a gallery, in a museum, like whatever. They're trying to curate like a specific vision or experience or whatever. So like it's not a referendum on whether they like your work either, on if you get in or not. It's like, do you fit the vision of what's happening right now? And like, so if you don't, you don't. Like, and that's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you just have to do it.
Yeah. And also stop learning from tutorials for real. Sorry, hot take.
No, it's all good. Yeah, because it is one of those things where like you can learn fundamentals.
Yeah.
But after you learn the fundamentals, you're free to break rules, break barriers. Like just do what you want to do. If you know that, okay, obviously don't drink turpentine as
right,
oils or whatever.
Safety.
Which is again fundamentals. You have to be careful on safety and whatnot.
Read the material safety and data sheet. Yeah.
And then after that, like, okay, now you know how oils can react with other materials, because again, one of the things that a lot of people, don't mix acrylics and oils. Well, why?
Yeah.
Until you know the fundamentals of why, like, then you could be like, well, I can in a specific way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll just get all mucky and muddy.
Right.
But
the acrylic is going to fall off of the oil.
So if you know the fundamentals, after that, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and I'm not actually like anti-tutorial in general. I just
She's
don't.
Anti-tutorial. I'm gonna have
at
a hat.
all times. I think
No.
tutorials can be super helpful to learn to do very specific things, but the problem is you don't have specific questions until you've learned a bunch of other stuff first.
Yeah.
And the best way to learn how to do everything is to try it and suck at it and then try again. Like you can't, there's no like magic. The only thing a tutorial can teach you is how to do something in that exact way. Yeah. And so if your entire art education is following tutorials, the only thing you've learned is how to do the things that already exist in the exact way that already exists.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which like, if it's a hobby, like do whatever, it doesn't matter. Do whichever version of the thing brings you joy, because like who cares? But if you're trying to like be an artist, then at some point you have to create something that is yours. And it's going to be so much harder if your entire visual language has been like drilled in through tutorials.
Yeah. And that's where, again, for me, it's like, once you know the fundamentals, this is brush, that is canvas, that is paint, then play with it. Like, you can get inspiration from other artists. You can get, specific tutorials for specific things, but they're like, but don't say that that's yours originally. Just learn it to get better at doing something better for yourself.
Yeah, we are mammals. All mammals learn fastest by playing.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that makes us what we are. Like,
So all you artists, just play.
Yeah.
Just play. The piano preferably. Violin if you can. No. But I do like that. Because it is one thing that like we've come across with artists that they always want to learn how you do art. Like, because obviously that's one of the biggest questions that, everyone gets asked. Like, oh, so how, like, what's your technique? How do you do it? Like I can tell you how I do it. Yeah. But don't copy me. Like, well, in the sense of like, don't do exactly how I do it, because I may be doing it wrong technically, but it worked for me. Yeah. And because I've been playing with it for so long.
Yeah. See, I feel like you should absolutely copy other artists, but not by having them explain it to you. Right? Like in the way that like master's studies works, like you should look at art you like and then try to do that and figure out how they did that without asking them for like a step-by-step. Exactly. They don't need to drop the tutorial.
Yeah, that's where the tutorial
figure it out. Yeah.
Just play until you find out how to do it. Yeah. I can do that. Yeah, I don't remember doing that in high school for art classes. Like we would have to try to copy Rembrandt, try to copy Van Gogh, and I would always try to copy Salvador Dali because he's one of my favorite ones.
Same.
But yeah, and then once I got I can figure out how to do that and get the fundamentals, then I can use that to upgrade my art.
Yeah.
My own style and stuff like that.
We had tons of Salvador Dali prints hanging on my walls when I was a kid at home, and like other kids would come over for like play dates or sleepovers or whatever and be like, why do you have naked ladies on the walls? I was like, because it's art, obviously, and now I paint naked ladies, so you know.
And why do they have a bunch of like a
what's that
closet
tiger
space?
doing?
Like, what? Why is the giraffe on fire in the background? I know. That's one of my favorite paintings. Though.
Yeah,
the burning giraffe. Salvador Dali.
it's a good one.
It's a good one. And but I can't remember the name of the other one with the elephants, the super tall elephants.
I love the super tall elephants.
With the,
You mean the bishops?
yeah, the super tall bishops. Well, they did have
Swan.
like a little pillar on their backs. A little, I can't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember. If you know the painting, link it out.
And I'm so bad. I don't know the
Good.
name of anything.
Do you know your own name?
Barely.
How dare?
Do you?
I don't know your name. I barely know mine. And mine is Mr. David Ronald. Yes. I had to double check.
Should we just go around and say our names correctly?
Yes.
Once?
My name is David Ruano.
My name is Katerina Sergeyevna Zhukovskaya.
And my name is Andrew Ruano.
Okay.
They gave me an English name.
But you got to roll your R.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yeah. Because I got a,
And
Hispanic last name. So
if you can't roll your R's, it's Uruano.
So it'll be harder for my name because it's like Andrew with a soft R, but
Right.
then Ruano with a
Yeah. You have the American English R, which is one of the most difficult R's to pronounce in any language.
I do.
Yeah.
You are American. Oh, nice.
You're being difficult.
As we all should be. Yeah, no, my name was, I think my parents, they not only did they just like David, because it's an old name, but it's
biblical.
It's also very easy to spell in English and Spanish because it's spelled exactly the same.
Yeah, they wanted like both.
Make it
And
easy.
That's fair.
With mine, like in English it ends with a W, but in Spanish it ends with an S, and it's got a little accent mark on the E.
Yeah,
So
for
it's like,
Andres.
Yeah.
So it's like very easy for both English and Spanish.
Yeah. But that's the
I
fun
did not
part.
get an easy English name.
No.
And I've been mad about it for decades. I went by Katya when I was a kid, and then like
But it's such a cool name though.
I heard
Katya.
like American kids at school and teachers and everybody mispronounce it, and like no one would mispronounce it the same way either. And by like the 50,000th mispronunciation, I was like, I quit, and just had everyone call me Catherine from then on.
I know.
How is it? Katya?
Katya?
Katya.
Ish.
See, because you don't have the soft T,
Kat-
so you like your tongue's in the
It's
wrong
so-
place. It's hitting
so
your
hard.
teeth.
It's so difficult. Katya.
We'll get it one of these days.
Yeah.
I'll try to spell it correctly. Because what was the label that I misspelled on?
Oh, I feel like there were several now.
The bill.
there were
One
some
was the
typos.
bill. The other was
Yeah.
again. That's the way I roll. I do have doing poetry on typewriter, so I'm like, yeah, no typos. That's all. If you can understand it, however it's spelled, that's good enough for me.
But I kind of like making typos on the typewriter because then you get to go back one and then hit X a bunch of times, and that's like really satisfying.
Yeah, and again, that's why I like doing them because again, it shows where you mess up.
Yeah.
And and makes you be honest with yourself when you're writing. And sometimes if you have typos, like, but you can still understand, the meaning of it, and like, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how we talk. I don't say and then comma and then continue on the sentence period. And when I ask a question, I don't say question mark.
Yeah.
And if I mess something up, I don't go like, okay, backspace, erase that from your memory. No, you just continue on the conversation and just go.
I will absolutely backtrack. In my house, we like rework bits. We're just like, hang on, like, let me start that back over again.
But again, like
X.
But either way, you still can't go back and delete that
You
from
can't
the
actually
person's
go back
memory.
in time. Yeah.
And but yeah, But speaking of going back in time, thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's always fun. And stay tuned for next week where we'll be doing the after show. So stay tuned for that because we'll be talking most likely about something random that we forgot to talk about during the show.
Like food.
Most likely food.
Most likely food.
Most likely food. And for the last, where can we see your work?
Yeah, you can find my work at chasethesunlight.com or on any of the social medias. I guess not any of them anymore. Instagram, TikTok, and occasionally YouTube at Chase the Sunlight.
Chase the sunlight. So don't forget to chase that sunlight. And thank you. I am Mr. David Ruano and our co-host, Andrew Ruano.
Bye.
See you on the flip side. You have been listening to the LA Artist Podcast. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. You can see bonus content on our Instagram at Lorano Gallery, as well as our website, loranogallery.com/podcast. Stay creative, keep creating, and no matter what, be passionate about your art.